Hello Year 6, this is your maths lesson for Friday the 13th of November. Today's I can recognise fraction, decimal, percentage equivalences. We did this just after half term, so hopefully it seems familiar to you. The keys to success today then. First of all, we need to convert the fraction so it has a denominator of 10. Once we've done that, our next step is to convert the fraction so it's got a denominator of 100. That's the tricky part done. Once we've got our fraction with a denominator of 100, to convert that to a decimal, it's as simple as writing the numerator from that fraction after a decimal point. To convert that fraction to a percentage, it's as simple as writing the numerator from that fraction with the percentage symbol. So first of all, my first fraction, I've got 22 hundredths. Now I can jump straight in at step 2 here because it's already got a denominator of 100. So to convert it to a decimal number, all I need to do is write that numerator after the decimal point. So 0.22. To write it as a percentage, I write that numerator with the percentage symbol. 22%. Nice and straightforward. The next one, I've got the fraction a half. So I'm going to have to start at the beginning of my keys to success. First of all, I need to convert it to have a denominator of 10. So how many 2's go into 10? Well, 5 2's go into 10, so I've times by 5 on the bottom. So I must times by 5 on the top, which gives me 5/10. Next, I need to convert the fraction to have a denominator of 100. So I know that I'm going to have 100 on the bottom. I've got to ask myself, how many 10's go into 100? Well, it's 10. So I must have times by 10 on the bottom. So I've got to do the same on the top. So 5/10 is the same as 50 hundredths. Now for the easier part then, I've just got to write the numerator after the decimal point, so 0.50. Now you might spot I don't actually need that 0 there, it's not doing any work, it's not a placeholder, so I can get rid of that 0, so 0.5. Let's make that 5 nice and clear. To write it as a percentage, I go back to looking at that numerator. That numerator was 50, so as a percentage, it's 50%. Okay, a couple more fractions here for you to have a look at then. I'd like you to pause the video now and have a go at following the keys to success to find the decimal and percentage equivalents for these fractions. Okay, hopefully you first of all converted it to have a denominator of 10, which meant you had to times by 2 on the bottom and times by 2 on the top, which gave you 4/10. Then you converted it to have a denominator of 100, which meant you had to times by 10 on the bottom and times by 10 on the top, which gave you 40/100ths. 40 out of 100 is the same as 0.4 or 0.40, which is the same as 40%. 7/20, we had to go straight to making it have a denominator of 100. Which meant we were timesing by 5 on the bottom and 5 on the top, which gave us 35 out of 100, which is the same as 0.35 or 35%. Okay, some of the questions might ask you to convert from a decimal to a percentage or to a fraction. So here I've got 0.40, Remember, that can also be shown as 0.4, but it means the same as 0.40. So that is going to be 40% as a percentage. As a fraction out of 100, it's going to be 40 over 100. Zero 0.5, remember that's the same as 0.50. It's the same as 50%, which is the same as 50 over 100. Both of these fractions can be simplified, so hopefully you can remember how to do that from Wednesday's lesson this week. But to simplify the fraction, you've got to find the highest common factor of both the numerator and the denominator. So if I was finding the factors of 40, I know I could do 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 40 isn't in the 3 times table, it is in the 4 times table. I could do 4 times 10, 5 times 8. It's not in the 6 times table, it's not in the 7 times table, and I've already got the 8. Then I need to find the factors of 100. And I could do 1 times 100, 2 times 50. 100 isn't in the 3 times table. You could do 4 times 25, 5 times 20. It's not in the 6 times table. It's not in the 7 times table, it's not in the 8 times table, it's not in the 9 times table, it is in the 10 times table. I could have 10 times 10. Ooh, I don't know what happened to my screen there. And if I'm finding the highest common factor, then I'm looking down my list. I think the highest common factor is 20, so I could divide by 20 on the top and 20 on the bottom. So 40 divided by 20, and remember, if I'm not sure what that is, I can do a little bus stop. How many 20s go into 4? 0. How many 20s go into 40? 2. So my answer is going to be 2 on the top, and then 100 divided by 20 on the bottom. How many 20s go into 1? That's 0. How many 20s go into 10? That's 0. How many 20s go into 100? It's 5. So 2/5. An easier way to do this simplifying is you might spot 40 out of 100 is the same as 4/10. And then once you've got to 4/10, you might spot, actually, I can half that numerator and denominator, and you can find the answer 2/5. Either way is absolutely fine, whatever is easiest for you. Here we've got 50 out of 100. Again, I could follow this method, which will definitely get me to the right answer. Or some of you might already spot 50 out of 100, that's the same as 5/10. 5/10 is the same as a half. Okay, whichever method is easiest for you is absolutely fine. This method takes longer, but it will get you to the right answer. The final thing you might be asked to do is to convert from a percentage to a decimal and to a fraction. So 25% is the same as 0.25, which is the same as 25 out of 100. Again, you could simplify that fraction following that method that I just showed you and that I showed you on Wednesday, or you might spot 25 out of 100, I know that's the same as a quarter. 30% as a decimal is going to be 0.3. 0.30 is fine, but remember you don't need that 0 on the end, which is the same as 30 out of 100. Again, you could simplify that to 3/10. Oh, not 300s, 3/10. Okay, year 6, I do think this is the trickiest lesson that you've got this week, but we have already looked at this quite recently, only last week. So I'm hoping that you're going to be okay with the work on maths.co.uk. Remember, if you have got any questions though, you've always got those check-ins with the teacher where you can call up and ask any questions. Okay, year 6, I'll let you have a go at that.